Gage Primar, crushbackpain.com. We're going to talk about safe exercises for a bulging disc. And we're talking about a lumbar bulging disc, lower back bulging disc. So, what causes a disc to bulge? We're going to take a look at the model here. When you flex your lumbar spine, and flexion is just simply this, bending forward or pulling your knees up to your chest, that flexes your lumbar spine. The other direction is extension. So this is extension of your lumbar spine, this is flexion. When your back rounds out, that's flexion. Flexion of your lumbar spine, here's my little spinal segment. It's looking at it from behind, side, front. We got the disc here, vertebral body, we got the spinal cord, and the nerve roots. So if I flex this spine, you can see that literally makes it bulge. So if you have a bulging disc that's symptomatic, you're not going to want to do exercises that flex your spine. That's very important. So what exercises flex your spine? Sit-ups, full range sit-ups. If you're at the gym, the leg press machine, when you're laying back or sitting and your knees come towards your chest, that spine's going to flex. Hamstring stretches, where you let your back round out. Those are examples of exercises that flex your lumbar spine. So safe exercises for a lumbar bulging disc are going to be exercises where the lumbar spine is maintained in a neutral to extended position. That just means it's not flexing. So like if you look at my lumbar spine here, get my shirt up so you can see it. When I'm just standing like this, I have what we call a lordosis. That's the natural curve of the lumbar spine. That's a neutral position. If I round it out, that's flexing the lumbar spine. That is going to actually make my disc bulge, and that will exacerbate a disc bulge. So we want to do exercises where that lumbar spine is neutral. A lot of times this is going to involve standing work. So lunges, squats, where you don't let we call it a butt wink, but where you don't, when you get deep, you don't let your tail tuck. So you want to just go through a range where you can again maintain that neutral lumbar spine and not let that tail tuck. You don't get that butt wink. Lunges, it's easy to keep the lower back neutral with lunges. It just happens naturally. So any type of lunge variations are really good. Pull-ups are great. Dips are great. Bench presses are good. Rowing is good if you hinge through your hips. So if you're on a rowing machine and you're getting this motion, again, you don't want that spine rounding out. You want to get that forward bend or forward flexion through your hips. So if you do it correctly, rowing can be a good exercise. Deadlifts, a lot of people shy away from deadlifts, but that's because they do them wrong. So if you're deadlifting and you're letting that lumbar spine round, yes, that's absolutely not a good exercise for a bulging disc. But if you keep the lumbar spine neutral and you hinge through your hips, it can be a really effective exercise for the lumbar spine, and actually it can be used as a rehabilitation exercise. So it's really important, safe exercises for a bulging disc. The most important thing is to understand the general principles, and then you don't have to try to memorize exercises. You just know, if my lower back is neutral, if my lumbar spine is neutral, it's not flexing repetitively or I'm not flexing it under load, then it's a safe exercise for a herniated disc or a lumbar bulging disc. Some other things that people do really well with the bulging discs is walking, just simply walking, because your spine's in that neutral position and you're getting motion through your hips and your arms. That helps engage the core without even having to think about it. So brisk walking with arm swing is actually a really, really effective exercise for lumbar bulging discs. That's another one that you can consider. Simple, a lot of people overlook it, but it's effective. Weighted walking for bulging discs. This is counterintuitive, but it actually, when you have a backpack with 10, 20 pounds on, it actually pulls your spine into extension, which can be really beneficial and healthy for the discs, because you're not flexing, so you're not getting that compression and tensile load through the back part of the disc. You're extending, which takes some of the compression and tensile load off of the back part of the disc where it bulges. And you can see those two videos at the end of this video. Check those out. Those kind of explain things more in depth. But what I want you to remember is Safe exercises for a lumbar bulging disc are going to basically involve a neutral lumbar spine, meaning it's not rounded out, the lower back's not rounded out, it's not flexed, it's neutral, it's in that natural position where we have a lordosis, it's somewhat extended. And that's the big overlying principle. So there's a lot of exercises that fall into that category, but if you find yourself in a seated position and you're flexing your lumbar spine, that's the type of exercises that you want to stay away from. If you have questions, drop me a line below. If there's exercises that you're doing and you don't know if they're a safe exercise for a bulging disc, just ask. I'll answer you. And if you have any other questions about bulging discs, drop me a line below and let me know. And if you need help with exercise programming, check out the Crush Back Pain programs. You've got 12 weeks of step-by-step progressive programming that will help heal bulging discs.